Hey guys, how's everyone doing out there, and welcome to a brand new video or podcast, whatever you want to say. Today is something completely different, and I've wanted to do it on my channel for a while now. I just want to talk about RuneScape private servers, and if you guys are thinking of doing a RuneScape private server, I've got some suggestions, things I've learned over the years that I've been staffing, bits and pieces. Now, I'll explain that in a minute. So, to start off, let me tell you a bit about myself and my RuneScape private server history, let's just say. I started playing God's Hell when it was in its thriving times. I've been playing... that was my first server, and I've been playing servers for about 8 years now, or just coming up to 8 years. And I've learned a lot. I did a lot of staffing. I was owner, co-owner, high admin on Powerscape, and Project Dream 748. It's probably still going to this day. Very, very enjoyed that time staffing and understanding and learning a lot from very, very good people within the community. You know, I went with knowing not really anything, just about in-game stuff, and then took up the kind of like behind-the-scenes stages of dealing with like player feedback, problems, account problems, etc., and actually dealing with that, and I've really enjoyed that so far. And then I retired from it, and then sort of gave out myself about a couple of, I'd say, a year out of staffing. Still playing all of that, but a year out of it. Just because I wanted to focus on myself a little bit more and actual in real life stuff. And then I went from that into kind of a little miniature staffing position like Alos, which I currently play at the moment, that I am a support staff member. But I haven't really, you know, I've always wanted to create my own server and get it up and running, but I've never really been able to. I would always be happy to take a help a server with like behind the scenes staffing, you know, and all that. I've never been bothered on making money, never made any single penny out of anything RuneScape private server related. Not even this channel. I don't make absolutely anything from it. So to sort of go over it, what's this? This is called the podcast. This actually is my other channel. I've got another channel. I'm posting this on Mr. Z, but I've got another channel. I've got a few channels. One is a podcast channel, and I've always done, I do absolutely anything. And it originally was called The Ramble Podcast, as you guys may have known. But now I changed it to The Podcast because I just thought that it had a better name and it represented anything. So if I want to do a podcast, it'd be The Podcast and then the subtitle. So what am I doing for this one? Well, it's a RuneScape private server edition. It's not going to be a massive video, but it's going to be a group of videos, like in a little miniature series. Now I'm going to start off with the first video, and that is just literally talking about RuneScape private servers, what are they, etc. Now, realistically, most of you guys will know what they are and everything like that. And then I'm going to be moving down in the stages of like what types of RuneScape private servers, what helps a successful one, and all of this is my opinion, but I've learnt it from people that have actually developed, programmed, and the things I've just sort of picked up over the years, and really what makes a successful server, and what as me as a fan, or me as a player, what would I be looking for? Because there's a lot of things that turn me down from RuneScape private servers, and I will explain that in future videos. And hopefully you guys will actually like this stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be still playing RuneScape private servers and putting videos up, but I thought I could do a podcast on it because it would maybe help you out, give you a few tips, because you always get videos that how to make a RuneScape private server, and you go on it and you can't even see anything. So I thought that I'd go over this and have a little talk, and actually, when you make a server, I figured there's so much out that players don't developers think the players want, etc., like certain things, but it's not. It's got nothing to do with that. It's like little miniature things that can make a difference. So let's talk about RuneScape private servers. What are they? Are they illegal? Are they legal? No, they are illegal. It doesn't matter what people tell you, they are illegal. You know, it is a fact. They are illegal. You're not really meant to be doing it. You know, people like to say, oh, well, it's my game, I developed it. You never, you know, at the end of the day, Jagex Game Studios or RuneScape, whatever you want to do, RuneScape property is all under one roof. It's all copyrighted under one group. It doesn't matter who it is, Jagex, blah, blah, blah. Everyone likes to fight over it. What it is, Jagex Game Studios don't own RuneScape. Look, at the end of the day, it's a game. It's got copyright content. It is RuneScape. We all know what RuneScape or old school scape, anything, it's all under RuneScape, Jagex, RuneScape, doesn't matter. So, yes, it is illegal, and I will explain how the first server came around, because I actually know how it done it, and it's actually a mistake on behalf of Jagex. And that is it. It's a simple error that created this entire genre of gaming, to be completely honest, because this is the illegal RuneScape private servers. Now, how did it start? Well, originally back in the day, you know, RuneScape had their client, and then when their cache was downloaded, the cache was then downloaded onto a your C drive or whatever, you know, you're downloaded onto your PC. And it wasn't really until I'd say like the first sort of kind of clients came out, but there was an error that when you downloaded it, obviously instead of it hiding files, it didn't. So when you downloaded the cache, it downloaded the entire cache onto your computer, so you've instantly got all the stuff you need to create something on that cache. And people will argue with that, and that is how it was. That's how the first ones came around. It's something, you know, me, obviously, I'm no whiz geek. I could not put it together. But it when you download the web browser or anything, it downloaded the cache onto your computer, your files, and then somehow, somewhere, someone put it together and created a easy to use RuneScape private server. And I don't know the exact names of the first one. I've got it in my head. I can't remember exactly what it is. But that said, I know God's Hell was quite up there, but it wasn't the first at all. You had the Devious Mud, and then you had the Winter Love. I think it was a Winter Love. I think was the name of the first server that ever came out, and it was a really like simple, basic server. You know, classic almost. But it was one of the first ones that ever came out. And then lo and behold, obviously everything follows. But God's Hell's where I started, and that was a brilliant server. So many bugs in there, but yeah, it was a fun server to play. So that was something that I very much enjoyed. Yes, so they are illegal. You cannot use them, but people like to make a lot of money out of them and then fight and say that they programmed the server themselves. And everyone knows it's like me creating a business and calling it, I don't know, let's say I'm going to call my business Jagex Game Studios, and then someone says, well, that's copyright, and you say, well, no, it's not. You know, me creating a name of a business that, or selling a product that is also sold by another business, and I don't have the authority or the you know, the license to sell it, means that I'm breaking the law. Meaning, if someone creates RuneScape and sells RuneScape membership, and then someone makes a RuneScape private server and sells membership for real life money and doesn't have permission to do it, then you can see the problem. Now, you could say people like OS Buddy, you know, the program that you can use for RuneScape to play old school RuneScape. Now, they're obviously different because that's a client in Pacific, and it has worked very closely with the people from Jagex and everything, and they've sorted it. And actually, that bloke who owned that was originally a hacker, so that sort of, yeah, just move away from that. So, it's overall, RuneScape Pro Servers, we've all had great hours of fun on it, and we've played it really well, and everyone enjoys it. I very much enjoy it. I've defended RuneScape private servers for many years now. People say, oh, they're just a bunch of bloody copycats. As well as I say it's illegal to make it, and developers are just, you know, like they're just programming a server, people like to make out that they're absolutely shit hot. Now, they're not. A lot of the time they just move things about here and there, put bosses in certain locations. Pretty simple, you program it. But there are people that have created, you know, actual skills and actual locations from Well, fuck all, to be completely honest, just looking at a bit of code and creating something absolutely amazing. Now, I take my hat off to people like that actually come up with creations and create their own ideas, create their own bosses, create their own weapons. You know, I'm not a big fan, personally, of custom scapes or custom servers. Where you can make your own items and etc. But seeing people create items and then implement them into their own game, I think that's brilliant, and I think that's the better way of not getting caught is creating your own game, more creating your own game than just picking up a source, putting it online, changing a few names, changing a few locations, changing a few drop rates, and then saying it's your game. You know, it doesn't work, and I just don't think it's right that people do it. But, you know, at the end of the day, you do what you want to do, and it is what it is. And people don't like that, but it is what it is. So there's obviously that. As well as that, there's obviously I'm going to go through the whole thing in later episodes. This is episode 1, by the way. I'm not going to exactly record one big podcast, but I wanted to just go through like things what people want. So I'm going to be releasing these anyway, and if you want to check out the podcast channel, you can do. It might still be renamed the Ramble Podcast at the moment, but most of the time it will be just called the podcast. So I'm very much looking forward to one day having my own server. I've staffed, I've done all bits and pieces on servers, and I've had a very good amount of fun. So without taking too much away, I'm gonna just put in another piece. I'm gonna put on my board here. I've got what I want to talk about in episodes, and I think I'll put 1 and 2 together because it's much better. And then number 3, 4, and 5 I can explain. So to put it in the best, number 2 was going to be the types of RuneScape private servers. Now we know there's loads, right? You've got all these versions, 3.17, which I can go over sort of 3.17, 4.7.4s. You can, you know, there's 4.7.5s apparently. Truth be told, it doesn't make much difference. It really doesn't. And then you go up to 508, 564 or 548. Then moving on to 600 plus, which really is 614. Then you got 614, 648. Trying to think of those 674s, I think. And I'm not making numbers up in my head. I've generally seen these ones, and some people have a server that's a 3.17, but they call it a 508, and it's just not the best way to do it. I always remember 3.17s, 4.7.4s, 5.08s, 6.14s, 7.18, 7.48s, and then you've got things like 800, 812. Or 8.14, okay? They're just things like RuneScape 3 is how I look at it, or sort of EOC kind of things. So you've got that, then you move up to like the 900s and etc. I don't know them too much because I don't really spend time on them. And I think there's 848s as well, quite big. So there's kind of the versions, but they're the version numbers. And then you've got things like, you know, the typical just normal RuneScape private server, PvP server, PvE and PvP, or you know, PVM, whatever you want to call it, and then you've got minigame ones, which are absolutely brilliant. They are, if someone actually creates one, they will make so much money out of it. And this is a hint. There is a market for it. There is a space for it. You've got PvP servers. You've got most of them are PVM and PvP. That's the standard ones. And then you've got the ones that are just specifically more PvP related. But I'd say that the mini game, which I'm just going to come back to, the mini game you got, and then you've got things like customs, and then over customs, and then just shit ones. So, but the mini games is a section I think that someone needs to be filled. Now, the last time I ever saw someone fill it was Rune Z. Now, Rune Z was a zombie server, which was fucking unbelievably awesome. There was a few things I personally said change, just things like when you died you didn't lose all your levels and all your items. What you actually lost if you were 99 everything was about 30% or 10% of a skill, or 10% of your attack, strength and defense. It never really harmed so much. Even though you lost all your stuff, you still had like a bank, you could say, a kind of miniature bank, but you didn't really have a bank. And that's what I would have changed. But the minigame servers would be so good. Now, RuneZ doesn't exist anymore, and it's so sad. You had Dead Man Mode servers. I'm really looking for a Last Man Standing server, which would be absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant and so much fun. And I just think you could do so much with it, and I'd love to do it if you could do it. I'm looking for one, so if you're watching this podcast, listening to the podcast, and you know of a Last Man server, besides the server called Last Man Standing, which is a good it looks like a good server, but it currently wasn't online when I started playing it, then that would be absolutely awesome, and I really can't wait to play it. You had some, you got zombie mini games and other bits like that, but I really want a Last Man Standing server, Dead Man Mode. You can do Nightmare Zone, things like that. That's what I really want. Now I'm fed up with killing Jad. I'm fed up with killing Kiln. I'm fed up with killing Bloody Barrel Chest. I wanna be going for the mini games. Last Man Standing. It is brilliant. Or a whole Dead Man Mode server, purely Dead Man server. You've got like 2 hours free to train your skills, and then you move on to another location. Now that's something I'd love to see, and I think that would fill a massive hot gap in the RuneScape private server community. Something I'd love to see, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully it will be out and be live. So we are going to end the podcast here. Next week, or the next episode, I'm just gonna do them when I can. The next episode is going to be about what helps to make a successful RuneScape private server. I'm going to go over my personal opinion on what helps. There's a lot of things in there, really simple things people miss, and their servers die. And as a fan, I've always said what I look for, which I will go over in a next podcast. I will go over in the next podcasts. And then the other one after that is important things to have in your RuneScape private server. That's the one where I will actually come in and put what I want. And then the other one I've got on the board, if you've got any suggestions, you want to ask some things about my opinion, please do. I'm going to be doing a live podcast soon. I'm going to be doing some live episodes. And then the last one's just like creativity and like not being the same as every other RuneScape private server there is. Because how many times do we always see the same server, the same source, whatever. So thank you very much if you tuned in and listened to this podcast. If you want any suggestions, things you want me to post on the channel, then please do. I'm going to be doing some vlogs soon because I'm moving office, so I need to go through everything, and hopefully it'll be absolutely awesome, so can't wait. So thank you very much for tuning in and listening to this. This will be uploaded on Mr. Z. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys all again in the next video, which will hopefully be a RuneScape 3 live commentary.